Hi Pile. Hi Vusile. Dumelang. Molweni betnana. Ndizoqala uchuku namhlanje. Hi Nonjebs. Hi Precious. How are you Peladi? Hi Lunga. Ndizoqala uchuku namhlanje. I'm not going to be here for long, but I just want us to have a conversation, guys. I have any interesting. Hi, Wenanes. Hi, Nozipo. I want us to have a conversation, guys, as nurses, right? It pertains our patients. And I think we said not every life should be about a guest speaker, right? So, yeah. I want us to talk about, hi Madeline, I want us to talk about our work, some of the things that are frustrating about our work. I wish I can be able to write something, like a, what is it called, like a topic, yeah, Nancy, topic can't be changed during a life. Okay, it seems like I can't change the topic. But okay, it's fine. I'm about to pop out the topic. Those who are joining us later, we will fill them in on the comment section. Here is the topic for today, guys. I want us to speak about, hi Pume, guys, can we talk about how are we supposed to versus how are we handling defaulters to treatment? I know particularly the patients that we always complain about, or we find it hard to accept them back into care, are patients that are living with HIV. And you guys know, I'm an HIV advocate, right? So I want us to speak about how we are handling defaulters in our facilities, versus how we handle them. How are we supposed to handle defaulters? And at this point, I don't only want us to speak about HIV, but I want to speak about all defaulters. And the reason I'm saying I want us to speak about all defaulters is because I feel like patients, we don't treat patients the same. I feel like we treat patients, yeah, Lunga, I thought as much. This is such a hectic topic, and it gets us all emotional and but I really want us to unpack it, guys, as clinicians. Honestly speaking, I want us to unpack it as nurses, not even just clinicians, even the people who are working at the reception, like literally, let me just say, as healthcare workers, I want us to unpack this topic, to say what is expected of us when it comes to defaulters, like how are we supposed to treat defaulters versus how we treat them. And I'm going to request you guys to join in so that we can really, niyayazi guys, by elephant in the room, how. So I want us to join in and have this conversation. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying patients instead of saying HIV, instead of saying people living with HIV. It's because I've seen that we treat them differently based on their diagnosis. And I'm interested to know why. Why is a DM, a diabetic patient, defaulter treated different from an HIV defaulter, from a hypertension defaulter, from a mental health defaulter, from any other chronic illness defaulter? Why do we treat like HIV defaulters differently? So the question is how we treat defaulters versus how we are expected to treat them. That's what we are talking about tonight. I'm not going to be here for long. I think maximum time that I'm going to be here, it's going to be An hour. I'm gonna be here an hour. Niziphatha kanjani defaulters, guys, in your facilities? Please request sitetheni. Niziphatha kanjani defaulters? What do you do with defaulters? Someone comes in and says, I have been taking treatment in this facility, whether it's hypertension, diabetes, HIV. I've been taking treatment in this facility, and then something happened in my life, and I had to. I'll be the timekeeper. Thank you for being a timekeeper, my love. Someone said I've been taking treatment in this facility, and unfortunately I had to interrupt. Maybe my child died and I went into a psychological derail, or maybe I relocated. Maybe I got a job somewhere else. Maybe I got retrenched and I've been away for 2 weeks, or for two months, or 3 months, or 4 months, or a year, or 2 years, or 3 years. I've been away, but now I am back and I want to continue taking my treatment in this facility. Nenza ntoni in your facilities? What do you do with that patient? Jongani niba ngaphi kanibona 76, and I know all of you are nurses. So anuzuthi kumnina kwezi facility nisebenza kuzo aninazo i-defaulter. Guys, tell me what you do with your defaulters. I will wait. I have time. Lunga ningafuni ndini-unbushe. See, now you guys are forcing me to put people on spotlight. You guys requests. Those that I know are practicing, I'm sending you requests so that you guys can tell me what you guys do with your defaulters. Abantu bazologa out, abantu bazobaleka because no one wants me to put them on spotlight. Nenza ntoni, guys? Lunga nenza ntoni nge-defaulter bethu nani?
Kaloku iyakhumbula masibathi ku-outreach ne?
Yeah.
So ngoku what I do is refer back
I think your network is poor.
to the clinic.
Load shedding.
But
Is
now,
my network?
hey, I think sometimes it's I think Dimva. Yavakala?
Diakuva, but it looks like it's my network. It looks like I'm the one with poor network. Can you guys hear me? Are you guys?
Yeah, Ndiyakuva.
Okay. Yeah, ndiyakuva ngoku.
Okay, so I was saying, for instance, namhlanje bendiye kwenye small town that is outside of where I work. It's part of my area. So ndifike phana kune TB patient that is not coming, and he's being very difficult and rude to care worker abamdreyisayo. And it's a guy. Yes. And it's a guy. So umjita mos uthetha isijita, you talk his language so that he's able to take you as someone he can relate to. Yeah, was trying to find out the problem. And ndiyafika phana ufungule umntana. So Ikombe apha i-attitude yam already by the fact that bana kuthiwa ubosokolisa aba has already changed. But so what I normally do is that xa i-TB patient isokolisa ndiye ndim-explainele i-risk ayenzayo to i-family and even the child bemfungulile lo mfana. And then ndibuze ubana ithini i-intention yakhe with the treatment. Ufuna uphila or ufuna uinfecta wonke umuntu, because if ufuna uinfecta wonke umuntu, you should continue staying.
Is this a co-infected patient? Is it an RVD
no
patient? Okay.
No, it's just a PTB patient.
Okay.
So what I do when TB patients are giving me a problem, I usually threaten with involving the counselor. Okay. That uzawudingiswa kule ndawo uhlala kuyo. In fact uzawuphelela esanda. So that was a threat to him. But now, next time I'm not coming here for. And imagine, guess sinikwe imoto. So you go so until this up. The next time this is a counselor.
You
There's
are
a
working
counselor.
for Department of Health, right?
Yes. I
You
think
are.
it's a renewable contract. Yes.
So I want to. So your work actually, I think your work, even though I'm not certain, but your work looks like you go into communities and find these kind of people and refer them to
No.
facilities, right? You're trying to link them back
Yes.
to care, right?
Yes.
So the question I have,
Yes.
do you ever, because I think when you are on the other side of where I have
Yes.
personally noted the problem, like, do you ever find
Okay.
that you found a defaulter in the community, right? And then you refer them to the facility. And maybe like 2 days later or 3 days later, when you try to follow up with the patient says, I wasn't welcome at the facility. Have you ever came across a case like
It
that where a
it
patient of yours that you had found in the community who had defaulted treatment and you had referred them, but you had referred them to say, go back to the clinic. And 2 days later, when you're trying to follow up, you hear a patient saying, actually, I went to the clinic, but I was sent back.
it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem because you remember sibanika a receipt or a slip that they are supposed to give to the facility so that they are given not priority but sort of a priority in terms of babonwe, and then they can go. So last week someone called a colleague here, so Tracer somewhere else, but she's at the facility. They are telling her no, she won't be seen by her sister, and they are turning her away. So I'm like, I managed now, and I called the guy who's working for that department chronic, and I asked, but did something change? He was like, no, according to change layer before. But patient in a reception. Icela uye reception and explain that since the same routine of seeing clients as he trace back to his clinic. Now the question is, what if lasisibenge nayo la number ye colleague yam? So problem kakhulu because abantu, I think we develop an attitude. I think I've never experienced in over now where we differentiate between ilenduk izigulo of abantu who are lost to follow up or something like that. But I think into apho ibe khona iba into yobana kufocuswa more kwi-TB patients kunye no art, and at the same time nabantu who are at the reception, who are receiving these patients, sister is the last person who's seen by the patient. The people that are at the window, I think they are the most problematic people when it comes to receiving the patients into the facility, because baba ngumqobo between the client and the nurse who's inside. And also kwezinye facilities uzawufumanisa ubana they are not seen. Kuzawuthathwa iincwadi zabo and then kuthiwa mabuye the following day for ufumane medication, and then banikwe another appointment, because funeka ukhumbule kaloku sine-appointment system kweli cala under our ideal clinic. So umuntu wants to see aba bantu bakulist yakhe only, and he has no time, to be honest, to see other people other than that. And also kube khona indaba ye-understaffing. We have a lot of excuses, and our excuses ke zenza uba bana sibatrite kakubi bana bantu, sibatrite kakubi kakhulu to an extent umana omnye. I think that I think 2 weeks back bendenze in-service training on what is this, patient rights to CHW, because I found that maybe they are missing something here, and I explained how it applies to outreach, and I explained how it applies to the patients and also their responsibility according to the rights of those patients. So it's a huge problem, and I think mainly it's at the reception and the attitude.
Unozipho says even security guards. Imagine. And
No.
I see people's comments here. They are trying to speak about counseling, health education, adherence. I think those, once a patient is able to get those, once the patient is accepted or welcomed back into care. And Lunga, when I was still in the facilities, there was something, I remember just before I could resign from DOH, there was something where basically your kind of people, your kind of program, the outreach program, they would have what we would call a champion in the facility. So all the defaulting clients, in the community, they would say, go to the facility and look for Zanele. I think in Northwest, they were avoiding this thing. You will refer a patient to the facility, like a fika pie festireni, because guys, our admin people, guys, our admin people, I sometimes, and yes, I'm not sure, but I sometimes feel the reason the public says, it's because of the experience that they are getting there at the reception batum. Our admin people. But and in Northwest, they would give the outreach team a name to say, Zanele is the champion at Analufale Clinic. So any person that is being traced by CHWs or anyone else must go to the facility and look for Zanele. And I don't know why is my network so poor, why my Wi-Fi is poor. I think it's because it's raining. But guys, honestly speaking, this is a concern because a patient was sent back at an institution. Kutwa, you defaulted 3 years ago. We can't take you back. And now I'm asking myself, guys, what is the guideline saying about patients returning back to care? Do we have a duration that says, no, we can't take you back because you defaulted 10 years ago? Do we have a duration that says, no, we can't take you back because you defaulted 3 years ago? Itini guideline, and how, as clinicians, Tina, because I think we are the highest rank in the facilities, how do we best see, particularly, Lunga, I'm so glad that you're saying you did in-service training for your healthcare workers, because I feel in-service training is also needed, guys, for the people who are at the reception, because the stories and the experiences that our people are getting in the reception, it's painful. Kongela?
Hey Z.
Finally, today you are in.
Today I'm in, and you decided to put me on the spotlight.
I was actually just checking if you would be able to come in, because the last time you were not. How are you, my darling?
I'm good, and yourself?
We are great. Are you working in a facility or in hospital?
I'm working in a hospital. I'm working in a hospital setting.
In a ward?
Yes, in maternity ward.
Then I don't think you guys get to experience today's topic, right?
No, we don't have much experience on today's topic. Just a few patients, but always refer.
Yeah, true. You guys work on a referral system.
Yeah, we always refer for the adherence counselings and stuff for initiation and whatever. But sometimes we do have one-on-one with the patients just to understand where they are coming from, why they defaulted. Because dealing with a pregnant woman now, you have to consider the baby also. Because we don't want to have any positive PCR, birth PCR, like that's our worst nightmare. So yeah.
But do you know that we get positive PCRs of women who are going to facilities like religiously?
We hardly get those. Like, I don't know when was the last time we got a positive PCR, so I'm happy. On our side, I'm happy.
You guys are doing so well. I'm trying to add Smart Lamini. Let me see. I don't know if Smart Lamini, can you please send a request, my darling? Let me follow you so that I can send you a request. I think I want to also invite Miss G. Miss G is a community healthcare worker. So I think she is more on the side of Ulunga. She refers to the facility. I think she's going to be speaking from a perspective of someone that refers her clients, and I wonder what are the outcomes. But I think I would have loved to have someone who's not in community, someone who's in the facilities, so that people can tell us what exactly is happening in the primary healthcare facilities that makes it impossible for our lost to follow up patients to be returned back to care. Guys, the guidelines are clear. The South African guidelines are clear that we need to get all people who are living with HIV, who knows their status, on treatment, including the defaulters. So the guidelines are not saying, no, if you've defaulted, then we don't want you back to care. My network is very poor, yes? My network is poor. I think it's because it's raining. Sis Zuzile is here, guys, as a manager of HIV training. I think maybe I will want her to say something to us as clinicians at the end of this gathering. I think I'm gonna need her to say something, because I need her to say something as umdala. You know, and we call on abantu abadala. Evening, doc. We call on abantu abadala. Pume, guys, please request. I'm in the facility, lol. I know people are sisters. You, let me actually send you. I know you are a child, but come, let's talk. That's the other experience that I have seen. Thank you, Sma. The other thing I have seen when lunga in these facilities, right, is that we've got district implementing partners. These are the NGOs that are funded either by PEPFAR, CDC, or Global Fund. And you find that in these facilities there is a nurse who is placed by the organization, such as ANOVA. And it's funny how these nurses then take the responsibility of initiating patients on ART. And then you will hear stories such as department, like you go to the facility to link a patient and someone will say, the clinicians from ANOVA are not here. The clinicians from ORAM Institute are not here. So the patient cannot be initiated on treatment. Like the patient has to come back when there is a clinician from these organizations. And then this Buzukba Ingabatina as Department of Health clinicians, we don't know how to initiate. I started initiating patients on ART when I was in ComServe. Before I even did NIMAT, I started initiating patients. I think in my facility when I was with DOH, I had a clinician when I was already 4 years into working as a nurse. So ndiyazibuza ke ngoku guys ukuba xa kuthiwa we are not going to initiate this patient because the ORAM nurse is not in today, i-DOHRNs ithini into yenu? Niyandoyika namhlanje, no one is accepting my request, no one is wants to come forward. Guys, thathani nam. Pume, hello.
Hello.
Sister Usis Zuzile says they are no longer called defaulters, they are now called treatment interrupters. Thank you, Mpati. They are now called treatment interrupters. Pume, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm fine. Kana, where are you based? Are you based in a clinic or are you based in a facility?
Now I'm roving. I was based in the facility, so now I'm a roving nurse.
What's happening? How do you guys treat your defaulters? And please, sorry, not defaulters, treatment interrupters. Please tell us the truth. What happens in your facility? What have you witnessed? Even if you did not partake in it, tell us what you've witnessed. What happens to the treatment interrupters?
When they come, there's always this stigma around Guti. They don't take their life seriously. And then in my experience, because of the filing system, so it's most of the time iba incorrect. So abantu base admin, they always find it difficult to find file. So the only thing that they do, if patient is also be check on tier, oh, this is the defaulter, and then abasafuni file, sebenza ama duplicate, or even send the patient back, it's okay, come ngelinye ilanga and stuff. Or even if they register the patient, i-patient ifika ku-sister, u-sister uzoqale nje ayiphi attitude ayibuza ukuthi why defaulting, awuthathi impilo yakho seriously, ini come back, I'm not taking bloods now, sengiwathatha ekuseni and stuff, and ama-patient agcine ejikiswa-ke ngaleso sizathu. I think in general we have attitude against interrupters. I don't know where it come from, and most of the time is, I think abanye ba justify ukuthi uzoza, and then maybe after 3 months at default again, so it's gonna be like a cycle or something. But in attitude ikhona, and mina in the facility that I was working in, ngaze ngahlala phansi ngatshela i-manager ukuthi okay, I'm gonna have a meeting with your admin staff, and I'm gonna treat them as abantwana. Ngizobanikeza ama-responsibilities. Umuntu ozojikisa i-patient, I have to take irresponsibility ukuthi abe responsible why ajikisa i-patient, because now I don't know if they do understand it here, and retention of patient and everything, throw and stuff. So I had to start afresh teaching them why are we doing this, and ngibatshengisa netiye yabo le yabo ukuthi kwenzakalani kuyo, and I saw a change kancane.
I thank you so much for taking that initiative, and I think this is something that we as clinicians need to take into our own responsibility. Guys, I need to call a friend of mine out. Allow me to call a friend of mine out. Dr. Neo, I'm going to call you out very quick because your comments, I find them extremely offensive. You're saying by the time we start holding people accountable for not taking treatment and sleeping around and not knowing their statuses, South Africa will be great again. HIV is not only sexually transmitted, and even if it is sexually transmitted, there are so many things that are involved around being diagnosed with HIV. There are people who are HIV positive and they are teenagers now. They were born somewhere in 2002. When you look at the South African guidelines, you will see that PMTCT, or what we now call EMTCT, started being implemented in this country in 2004. So anyone born before those years did not have the luxury of accessing the mother-to-child prevention. So there are children or who are adults or young adults now who were born with the virus, and they are still struggling because children's disclosure is still a big thing in this country. It's still a huge gap that makes us not to be able to attain the latter 95 of all people living with HIV being virally suppressed. Children who were born with the virus are suffering psychologically. They have lost their parents, they are orphans, they are staying with guardians that are abusive towards them. Most of them, they find it very difficult to adhere to treatment. And these are now kids who are getting in relationships. They are in adolescent stage. They find themselves developing emotions for other kids. How then are they able to disclose their statuses when their own statuses was not disclosed to them? Yes, they will sleep with other people and without using a condom, because in our own consulting rooms, we don't even have time to empower them with knowledge, to teach them about HIV prevention and all these other methods that are available. All we do is to dish out ART like we are dishing out Panado, dishing out ART like we are dishing out ANC t-shirts. So it's unfair for you to utter those words about people living with HIV. There's a client, I said this a couple of days ago, that there's a client that once walked into my consulting room. This client was a treatment interrupter from another facility in the same sub-district. And this client says to me, I'm saying to the client, I'm not going to give you treatment without a a referral letter. And the patient said to me, okay, it's fine. Then I would rather go die than go back to the facility that you want me to go and fetch a transfer letter from. When I wanted to find out from this patient to say, why are you being so dramatic? Why won't you just go to Kabani Health Center, which is literally 5 kilometers away from the CBD? Why won't you just go and request your transfer letter? That patient said to me, I will never set foot to that Kabani Health Center because there is a nurse there who said she did not infect me with HIV. I must not come and be a spoiled brat in the facility because she did not infect me with HIV. But what she doesn't know is that I got the virus from being raped. So not everyone who is HIV positive went out and looked for HIV. In actual fact, people who are living with HIV never went on door to door looking for HIV to be infected. So it is very unfair, and I find it discriminative for you to utter those words that as soon as we as South Africans find people, hold people accountable. No one goes out and look for a disease, guys. No one goes out and look to make like their body like a shelter or a place for a disease. No one does that. No one does that. So no one can be held accountable for being HIV positive. No one. Even if you got it through sexual transmitted, you cannot be held accountable. And I think this shows that we actually don't listen to our patients and their reasons for defaulting treatment. And that is where the biggest issue is. The fact that we don't give our patients time to tell us why are they defaulting treatment. Personally, in my 7 years of experience of working with people living with HIV, I have never seen a patient who chooses not to take treatment in their right state of mind and says, I'm not going to take it. And by right state of mind, I mean there are patients who choose that route to say, I'm not going to take treatment, mainly because psychologically, the entire whole thing has messed up their minds. And not just the HIV status, but even their lives. If you can look at the patients who don't want to take treatment, who are saying, I'm not going to take it, you look at where they stay, like their shelter, you look at the situation like the psychosocial situation in their lives, you will realize that it is not just about accepting that I am HIV positive, it is beyond that. So as clinicians, doctors, nurses, as long as you are a healthcare worker, we need to be able to give our people a listening ear for us to understand where they are coming from and for us to be able to derive interventions that are relevant to the patients. Because if we are going to derive interventions in these certain apartments for someone who stays in the deep end of Ekurhuleni, with the mentality of staying in an apartment in Sandton, it will never work. That policy, me trying to go and derive a policy with my experience of staying in the Sandton area, in the deep ends of Ekurhuleni, I will see no results in that. So no, we are not going to hold people living with HIV accountable for being HIV positive. We are not going to do that.
Also, sorry, Z. Also, as nurses and professions, I think we have to just go and study HIV and also understand that a chronic illness comes with an emotional burden. Imagine taking pills every day. It's a burden, really. It's emotionally draining. You cannot just say people that they don't take their life seriously or they must be accountability or what, because it's if ufuna understand kahle, just go and study HIV and study chronic and we're informed about emotional, psychosocial aspect, because you cannot just say people are sleeping around and they don't want to take treatment. Really, professionals, I think we are not informed and we are not willing to learn about any chronic illnesses. We just want to say abantu, they don't want to take condoms, they don't want to do and this, but nje, professionals, we need to learn.
And what you are saying, I so on my work involves me. I work in community, right? So some of the teams I support, actually most of them, they do what we call door to door. So we were doing door to door with the team, ne? And then we found this mom, like mom Dala, maybe in her late 50s, and she was sitting outside. And then we get in and we're like, Mama, we are offering HIV testing services and stuff, yabo. And then she's like, no, my kids, I'm already on treatment. And she goes inside the house and comes out with her medication. Yabo. And you know, she said what you just mentioned now. She said, guys, I've been taking this treatment for so long. I am lower than detectable limit. Hey, but now I'm tired. She literally said that. Now, that's because I'm not on chronic medication. Does that mean I must feel like she's being dramatic? Is she being dramatic? She's not being dramatic. She said to me, my child, I am grateful for what the tablets have done for me in the past decades. I am very grateful, but now I am tired. She said that. And you know, when a person is tired, I see it with myself. Like there was a time during my pregnancy where I went through postpartum depression, right? With depression, you get to a point where you feel like, I'm tired. I don't want to take this anymore. Like, I'm exhausted. That's why people commit suicide. You get to a point where you are exhausted. So if we are unable to understand pill fatigue, if we are unable to understand that these people, they get to a point of saying they are exhausted. That woman said that to me, that I am exhausted, Nana. Like, I feel like even if I can die, like, I'm tired of taking these pills. Do you see that? Had we not sat down and did counseling with this woman and actually reassure her that pill fatigue is a thing and we are aware of it, but this is what you need to hold on to, that woman would have probably defaulted her treatment, because she's busy counseling herself to say, even if I can die now, I've lived, because she said those things to me to say, I've lived, I'm 58 now, even if I can die. But I said to her, there is someone in your family that still needs you here, and God still needs you here. So you don't get to take that decision for yourself. So there is even what we call pill fatigue. But because we don't give our patients time to tell us why they defaulted treatment, we're saying, you don't take your life serious. I think Zuzile commented something here. She said I think it's a welcome back campaign, and I think I'm gonna let her speak now. Sizuzile, please unmute your mic. I'm gonna let you speak because I'm getting emotional now, and I don't want to get emotional. But as clinicians, we honestly need to do better, and in our doing better, may we also teach those who we work with, our colleagues. Ms. G said that in the facilities, they even give patients, like the patients who are supposed to be started on treatment, they give them a date to say, oh, Miss G is not in today. She's the nurse who comes from the NGOs. The nurse that initiates is not in, but you are a DOH nurse. You know how to initiate. DOH took you to a training. They trained you on NIMAT. They certified you on NIMAT. The same NIMAT that you are going to use to look for jobs in NGOs. You don't want to utilize it here at Department of Health. Guys, no. Because I'm becoming emotional.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Z. I can hear you becoming emotional. Yeah. So, but I think the main damage was done when HIV was introduced. That's where the main damage was done. But I think it's been a long time that we have been in that era, and we should have already started correcting it. So it's a matter of us as healthcare workers correcting it, that, let us not make these people that are taking treatment to feel like as if they are doing something that is wrong. I always say when I'm conducting trainings, to say, HIV has been classified as a chronic condition. And when we talk about the chronic conditions, we are not talking about HIV alone. We're talking about your high blood pressure. We are talking about your diabetes. We are talking about your epilepsy. Why is it easy for a person to take high blood pressure medication? Because she does understand that if he's not taking the high blood pressure medication, he's going to develop a stroke. And then what is it that we are teaching our patients that are living with HIV? We want them to be virally suppressed so that they can prolong their life, And when we look back when we are coming from, we remember, we know how our sisters died. The moment that they were diagnosed and then months. They will not even stay months. They will not even stay years, and then they are dead. But when we look now, we have treatment. And what is it that we are encouraging our patients to be able to take the treatment? So it's a matter of us encouraging them. So I am currently conducting the TOTs for the new guidelines. I was in the province today providing the training for the province. I did mention to the clinicians that are there that we have taken some of our responsibilities and gave them to the counselors. Like when you look on your enhanced adherence counseling, it is not for the counselors, it is for us to do it. So, and again, when we look at the enhanced adherence counseling, where does it start? It doesn't start when the person has already have a high viral load. It starts the very first day when the person is being diagnosed. I said to them, I go to the facility. I'm not going there to do an HIV test. I go there, I'm having lower abdominal pains. But because I found a very good clinician that was able to navigate through and ended up testing me, and I find out my HIV diagnosis. Psychologically, I didn't go there for that. But because of the good clinical practice and also of the guidelines that are really favoring us here in South Africa, today I will go there with lower abdominal pains. But if I find a person that will be talking to me in a very professional way, I will leave the facility with the treatment, and I will be able to start the treatment as soon as possible. That will be working at my favor. So, and then if I have to interrupt my treatment, I will interrupt my treatment because I didn't get enough information. There's not enough information that was given to me. And there's no person who really wants to die. If I interrupt my treatment, I interrupt it because I have challenges. So the problem is the mere fact that I came back to the facility. It means that although I interrupted, but I still want to take care of my health. So the challenge is, how am I being received in the facility? The challenge is that the clerks, the admin clerks, they are not being sensitized. We are talking about patient-centric now, patient-centered care. Did we sensitize them that when they come, especially when it comes to customer satisfaction, how do they communicate with their patient? Is it in their scope for them to tell the patients to go back? Is it in their scope for them to tell the patient to go back in the line? Is it in the what do they know? What made me to stay at home? Post-COVID, we all know, you cannot just resign and say, I'm going to stay at home. You cannot just stay at home and say, I'm not going to work. Abahleka abelungu la ngaphandle, abahleka ama-boss. Uyalova, uluza umsebenzi, So if I have to choose between going to the clinic and taking the treatment and retaining my work, I will choose retaining my work. But then, if I come to you and I negotiate with you as my clinician, patient-centered care, and tell you, you know what, I do want to come on this day, but on this day, I have a challenge. I am working and I won't be able to come. So if you can give me treatment up until this day, definitely I will come. I will definitely come. So that is the challenge that we have. We want to give our patient what we think is right for them, but we don't want to hear or go to our patient, what do they need from us. I am so excited with the new guidelines that are coming, because now they talk about the multi-month dispensation. You diagnose a patient on the first day, and then you give a 1 month because you want to do your adherence counseling, and then after that you give your 2 months of your medication, and then patient come at month number 3, which is your 3 dispensing cycles. We take the viral load, and then after that the patient will come after a month, and then which is the 4th month. If the patient is virally suppressed, then we are going to be taking this patient to other differentiated models of care where they are going to be. Nakhona, you don't say, I'm taking you to Clicks, I'm taking you to a Discam, where you are going to be asking the patient, where is the best place where you think you can be able to take a medication yakho, because we want to limit our visit to the facilities. Angithi sithi bayasidina
Yeah.
because we don't want to see them. So at least the new guidelines is doing justice. Goguti, we don't see them now and then, but please let us do justice to them. I spoke about the Welcome Back campaign. The Welcome Back campaign has been there since from last year, where it says you can see in some of the facilities. I'm gonna talk here in Ekurhuleni, we are saying you go there to the facility, you are looking for Lerato. Who is Lerato? Lerato is the person that is going to be attending to you. You go there to the facility, to the reception. I am looking for Lerato. Lerato already knows what she's supposed to be doing. So Lerato will be the one that will be attending to. Amatlax will be knowing, Guti, if the patient says, I'm coming to see Lerato, who is the Lerato? And we have even sensitized the facilities to say, let the Lerato not be the vets person. Let the Lerato not be the ORAM person. So that at least even our DOH, I love the DOH people. I know they love me also. And I love to capacitate them. Let them do what is right for the patient. So let them see the patients that are coming in there and let us re-engage them. We are not re-engaging them for the numbers. We are re-engaging them for their own health. And remember, when they take the treatment and they are virally suppressed, they can still make the babies that are HIV negative. So we want to encourage them being virally suppressed, where we are talking about U equals to U, which is your U equals to U. Do you know what is U equals to U?
Undetectable viral load is equals to untransmittable viral load.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
untransmittable virus, yeah.
But yes, it's your undetectable is equals to untransmittable, meaning that if a person is virally suppressed, he cannot transmit the virus to the next person. And those that have done the studies, they say that type of a prevention, it's at zero. You know, the transmission is at zero. And zero, I mean zero. And you know, the first time I attended this, there was a lady that was presenting, and she said, I know of a person that has been practicing the U equals to U. And she said, the person that is talking, it's here standing in front of you, and I'm already having children that are not infected.
Is
Because
it Mandisa?
yes, it's your Mandisa Tugashe. And then, you know what? I was so impressed the way she spoke. So let us see these patients. Let us be kind to them. You know, I always say, do unto others as you would like it to be done to you. If you want to be treated with dignity and respect, respect them. And I don't know whether I said this to this group or I said it to another group. I said, you know what? I've learned that when the person is sick, we'll be having lots of demands. And I've learned that from my coordinator when I was doing trauma. You know, we're complaining and we said, you know, patients, when they come to casualty, they will be insulting you. They will be doing this and this and this and that. And then she said, Zuzile, that person, when it comes to casualty, he said, I'm in need of help. I need oxygen. But he cannot say, I need oxygen to you. He will just find something that can be able to get out of the mouth and then say it. Don't take it personal. He just said, I need help. Patients, they can come to us being rude, but let us not be rude. We are being taught. We have a duty to care. Let us do what we need to do. Let us be kind to them. And I always advocate for patient-centric. Patient-centric says there are two things that the patient come to the facility to. And then they said, I come to the facility to be cared for. And when I leave the facility, I want to leave the facility being taken care of. I want to leave the facility in a positive way that I can be able to refer another person to that same facility. So that is it that I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, you've taken my emotions down low. Thank you so much for speaking to us as young people and reminding us what our profession is about. Because at times the challenges that we face, we tend to forget what our profession is all about. You know, when you said that, and you are actually saying it for the second time, it was us that you were saying a sick patient is highly likely to be rude to you. You're taking me back to, I think I was doing first year or second year. I think it was second year. I was placed in a male medical ward, and there was this patient who had a diabetes mellitus, and the patient was very sick. But then, because I was still new in nursing, I didn't understand a lot of things. That patient was so rude to me, Sis Zuzile. That patient was so rude to me. He vomited and asked me to bring a bedpan. He asked me to bring a bedpan with a very harsh voice. And then, because I was young, I went and I fetched that bedpan, but I was hurt with how he spoke to me. By the time I came back to him, he had already vomited. And then he said he vomited because I was slow. And I was very hurt. But the following day, during visiting hour, I didn't report to the nurses actually, but the following day during visiting hour, I'm back in this ward and I'm still holding a grudge against that patient. You know, funny, at lunchtime when his family came, he called for me and he said to his family, "This is the best nurse in the ward. This is my nurse. This is the one that keeps me sane in here." And in my mind, I'm thinking, "Well, now you who was rude to me, you know," but I had not said anything back to him. But the fact that when his family came and he said to me, to his family, "I'm the best nurse in the ward and I'm the one that's keeping him sane," but I was still holding on to the grudge. That's what made me realize that when our patients are sick, the attitude that they give us most of the times, I don't think it comes from, really it stems from them, but it stems from the frustration of being sick and being admitted, not wanting to be here. Then they project that anger. Thank you so much, Sis Zuzile. I truly appreciate your take on this. I look forward to the new clinical guidelines, and I wish I can multiply you, I wish I can multiply you and put you in every province so that every Department of Health nurse comes across someone like you, because I think Department of Health nurses, they sometimes need to listen to people like you for encouragement. I don't know, but I find NGO clinicians to be very proactive when it comes to initiating clients, retaining clients to care. I don't know why are they so proactive. I'm not sure what motivates them, but what I've picked up is that the energy from the NGOs is actually very much different from the energy of the clinicians in facilities.
I think Z, when it comes to vets, there are lots of new nurses. There are a lot of young nurses. I just want to give you a brief history of what happened for those nurses to be hired. Yeah. So what happened? I was still working for Oram, and there was a time where the department couldn't pay for the ComServes, and then so we were requested as an organization to take some of those ComServes. So, and then, it was a problem because, when you go to NGO, they want very experienced people. And, you must be NEMAR trained, you must be experienced. And then because we don't have time, when you go there, you must start working. So I was part of the management that was going to be selecting those ComServe. And there was a bit of like a complaint to say, how are we going to be managing these young ones? Because you are being known as the people that will not listen and do all those things. And I said to them, just give them to me and let me see what I can be able to to do with them. And then so I started with a group of 23. And then so I said to them, I need 3 weeks with them, and you make sure you don't come to my training. I'm gonna be with them. It's only me and them. So, my first week, it was a matter of me taking them through your culture, your patient culture centric. I had to take them through the values of the organization where we were working. And then I told them, this is a private institution. You don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when it comes to patients, your patients, they are your customers. And you know the rule that says your customer, it's always right. So you have to make sure that you take care of them. So this is what we're supposed to be doing. And you must remember that when you are wearing this t-shirt, you are wearing a t-shirt that is known to be a cream of knowledge. So meaning that the moment you are going to the facility, they will be knowing you as a person that is knowledgeable when it comes to the management of HIV. And then after that, while we're busy, we wanted more of the nurses. And I said, let us continue hire the younger ones. They were like, when Azuzile, we are bringing these children. And if you know Z, most of them, they are being called Zuzile's children. And I am fine with that. I love them. They are my children. They came into my hands. And they will tell you, I'm very strict, but in a very polite way. And if they were doing something, I will call them aside. Guys, this and this and this and this is not being done like that. But I am happy, I'm so proud to say we have developed nurses that today they are young, but you go to them for HIV management, I'm telling you, they will beat you like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So the thing is that when it comes to the private, I always say private, there's someone who says I'm in that nest myself. Who's that? Who's that person? Who is that I've trained and mentored? I want to hear that nest talking. So what I always say is that when it comes to private, it's a matter of you deliver. If you don't deliver, you see the door where you came in. But then when it comes to the government, we are in quality improvement. The one that that RHI and Oram is using, they are talking about laggards, where they are saying, you know what, we are not going to implement anything that is being said by the government. Or anyway, this thing is not going to be working. And once you have that attitude of when something new is being introduced and you see it as not working, I'm a risk taker myself. And if I see something that is new, I want to see it, it's like with the new guidelines, I just want to start implementing them because I see there is something good, there is something that is positive that is coming on that. So if we can, I always say the problem is that when it comes to the Department of Health nurses, I do understand their frustration. I was once a nurse that has worked in a department. Working without the resource is not nice. And I think that is one thing that made me leave to go and work in a private sector, because you go there is no medication, there is no this, and then the patients come in. Some of them, they were even insulting us and saying, we are taking their medication to our houses, we are taking our medications to go and bring and give it to our relatives, and the same patients that we are attending to. I remember I was telling the other group that I was with the last time, and I said, you know what, you learn to be patient even in things that are not tolerable. I remember there was a time when the time I was working in the clinic, there was a guy that came in. He just lost his son. So he came into my room. So he was talking to me, telling me how he lost his son and what. So I ended up counseling him. So he took time in my room. And then when he was going out, a lady, a patient that came in the facility to consult, he just said to this guy, "Benilele yini." I was so pissed off. Yeah.
No.
And then, yes. And then I turned back and I said, "What did you say?" repeat that again. And then these other patients, they just said, no, don't. And I said, really, can I be that down? Gokuthi ngingalala nomuntu in the consulting room. And I said, you have insulted me. And then I went back to the room. And then she came in my room. And then she was taking the blood pressure medication. I just went straight to my cupboard, took the medication, and gave it to her. And then she said, but you didn't ask me what's wrong with me. And I said, the same thing that you want me to attend for you is the same thing that the previous man was having. So I am going to attend to you, but I wanted you to feel how is it, because I need to when you came here for the treatment. So that is why you thought I was speaking with this other patient. So, and then I sat down and I said, okay, tell me your problem. I ended up spending more time with her, more than the one that I've spent with that. So our patients, they have their problems and everything. So when they come back, when they interrupted their treatment, let us find out what is the main problem. What is it that made them to interrupt the treatment? No one just wants to interrupt the treatment. And the insults, guys, they are going to be always there. They are not going away. So let us learn to just kunya iche, and then you just don't let them. I always listen with one ear. It doesn't go to the other one. It's one ear, and then I let it go to the other one, and it go. I don't have time to be angry for no apparent reason. So I don't, I don't have that time, and I don't have that energy. It's a very big energy to do that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today if I had that time.
Sure.
Thanks.
I love how you're saying I wouldn't be where I am today if I had that time. Sure. You taught us something, Zuzile. Someone says, I remember Mam Zuzile from Oram training 2019 ComSev year. I fell in love with TB and HIV. She's the best. She is the best. Personally, I fall in love with managers who have time for young people. I fall in love with managers who, when God finally takes them from this world, they would have left bits and pieces of themselves in young people to continue the legacy. And I think this is what Umam Zuzile is doing, really. Like, so many of you guys have recognized her from our lives. And I think a lot of us here are actually young nurses. So the fact that we have bits and pieces of her in all of us. Boy, Mom knows Mam Zuzile. Kuli just commented. It shows that she's really living and imparting knowledge on us as young nurses. She's living a legacy that even when she is no longer here, we are going to continue to go on with it. Boy, Mom, how are you?
Hi, Sandanani.
Right. Should I call you with your real name here?
Titi, yes.
Okay.
I was trying to run away from Titi when I named myself Boy Mom, but mostly, yeah, I'm called Titi. Yeah, hey, I joined late, but I saw in the beginning you were still talking about this thing of patients, HIV patients, and the way sometimes we mistreat them. Because we just assume ukuthi umuntu got HIV how. And I always say, when we are talking, we'll be saying, hey, I'm an HIV patient, I'm an HIV patient. We never even spend time to think. I once raised this just recently, I'm 17. But who are these HIV patients? Do you know my status? What if I'm one of these HIV patients? And we've got, yes, few people that we will work with who will disclose to someone, maybe feel like, Titi, Yazini, I'm positive, I'm taking treatment, continue with me, don't send me on CCMTT because I'm here, clinic, and then it ends maybe between us. Then you have those, yes, who are open to say stuff in Sonke, it's like this. But you have people who are still not comfortable because it's work, who feel, hey, this is my personal thing, let me keep it to myself and what's not. So when we are talking about these HIV patients, we don't stop to think, what if we are saying these, now I'm going to say these HIV positive patients because I'm scared. If I don't say it, I'm going to be questionable. Oh, is she positive, Sister Titi, or what? Yeah, but so we need to be really careful. We don't know what chronic conditions we all have as colleagues. It's not just about HIV, but as colleagues, we do not know which treatment are we taking for what. I remember, I think it was during early COVID, somewhere there was time to understand sokuthi who has a chronic condition. I was there doing it, Nompati, and I was like, a clinic, no one had a chronic condition. And I'm like, Vele, people are going to be scared because someone will be like, oh, you have, which one? It's going to be weird. And I was like, Nompati, oh, I have a chronic condition. He's like, oh, Titi, serious? Me say, yes. I said, oh, I didn't know. What are you taking? Me say, antidepressant. And I'm not on anything. She's like, you are depressed. You know, she found it weird, and then she had to come back and say, I'm a nurse, let me not have a judgmental face. But you could see that she has that, but Titi, how come in? But I was just trying to put it there before she could say it. I'm like, no, but I was joking. It's just that I feel all these no's are only because everyone is scared to say they have whatever. We don't know after this list, are we going to be called Gasio Le Echemistin to say, oh, because now you have a chronic condition, you'll be staying home during this COVID, you won't be paid. We're going to be scared to say those things because we are still very worried about the disclosure, let alone now disclosing about HIV. It's still so hard, and I find it so fascinating and so nice when I find that patient who's like, Mgumuzo wami, you know, we've got those patients, umgagazo wethu, in, and I'll be encouraging them to say, you know what, if you don't mind, talk to your friends, let them know what is going on, that there is nothing wrong with treatment. And vele as nurses, I don't want to lie, we do end up sometimes shouting at patients, and sometimes my patient will take that negative part of it because being Suzi that time, but they don't even know the story between me and Uzi. Bona all they caught was Utiti, Nest Titi Ubeteta on this patient. But because they don't know the story, what spreads is that nurse we are TET. And maybe by the time the other patient comes in, you are able to help them and talk to them. Oh, you tested positive. Let's start treatment. This is what happens now, and so on and so on. And you find that patient is like, oh, but where we are TET. Then you're like, no. But because you don't know the problem of different patients, you sometimes think because generally nurses are rude or rioteta, it gets to that. The point Usisuzile raised about him. I remember I once went to a training. I'm revealing myself. My husband is a nurse. Point Titi, we are lucky to go to trainings together. So she'll be saying, oh, yes, my favorite
Bambin, I
couple.
heard the voice and I'm like, I know this voice. I hear you now.
So she'll be like, yeah, my favorite couple, let me ask you. I'm like, oh, Nkosi yami, yazi. But I've learned a lot from her. I was lucky, Nami. When I started ComServe, she was just starting at Oram. I think she took over Sister Tandy or someone who was leaving. So I learned from her. And I've never been on the NGO. I've been to DOH, then to COE. I learned a lot, which is why maybe this is where I feel I am HIV. I'm at that nurse. You wake me up at 12. I will tell you what needs to happen, so long as it's not a new guideline. So as nurses also, we tend to blame a lot. Actually, we don't have services. Well, it's not the same. When you are in the NGO, you will get the laptop, you'll get the transport to fetch a patient, you'll get the phone and what's not and what not, which I do not have as a nurse who is at the clinic level or esibhedlela yabona. So vele I'll find it as if vele Uzi is favored because Yvette or Oram is giving her all the resources. I'm not favored. But then it becomes up to you. Now the patient is in front of you. I might not be able to call a patient to say, come back to care in. But when a patient is in front of me, I must be able to say, I've got a container treatment. This is what I can give you. It's not enough. I can give you your 1 month, this and this and this. You are not taking treatment well. What is going on? Why is your viral load not going down? These are reasons that may cause. Do you know anything that you are doing? So it's up to you. A patient is what can you do? I always tell them it's a clinic. Oh, shame. We don't even have a phone. A clinic here. Normally, ambulance we call with our own phone. But I normally say when a client is in front of me, then I'll do my best there. I might not be able to fetch the patient or all those things. But when a patient is here, he must not turn back and say, I didn't get treatment because UTT did this. Yes, there will be those who will. Maybe sometimes Vela, you will shout at some of them, but I've been talking to you. I've been telling you this in. But so long as it's in a constructive way, even if you were to have someone who recorded your conversation. Ayilalele on the side will say, no, but Titi was shouting because now we are born now 1, 2, 3. It mustn't be because I didn't give you HIV and what's not. We don't know who gave who. Even the person who got it through sex, it might have been their first time. Then they got HIV. Their first time ever. Then they got HIV. So it shouldn't even matter, Uguti, how, what. And if you are having a family as a nurse who are coming in to say your child umntana uthatha treatment asthma, hi, that's what we tell them. You are seeing, especially the age of teenagers, already a teenager is a bomb alone. Now it's a teenager with HIV. You need to start already with parents by the age of 10, 9. Uguti, no, guys, how do we work into making sure utiti by the time aba clever enough, especially now kids are googling and what's not. By the time at 9, 10, 11, we get to tell her what is going on, what treatment is she taking, because so long as we are not doing that, we will have kids backsliding. They will be virally suppressed until they are 9, 10 years old. Then they get clever, they understand what's going on, then they stop taking treatment, and they are sleeping with who? They are sleeping with the other kids. Because now by data they are in that age, and you forget as a nurse you have a son who could be sleeping with that child. And it doesn't mean your child will be dating someone or negative. They'll be dating that very same patient when now you are not telling or you are not encouraging the parents. Hey, let's tell the child, let's teach the child, and then see how mature the child is and get her to know, okay, I can take treatment, I can be helped, and I can even disclose in front of people and say, no, I am HIV positive. I didn't find it through sex or what's not. I was infected when I was born in. But I think as nurses, we need to revive ourselves into saying we can give knowledge to a patient who is here. Stop comparing ourselves, especially at clinic level. I don't know about hospital because but at clinic level, stop comparing ourselves with nurses about say NGO. We are all here to do the same thing. It's just that we do it differently. Yes, they're gonna have reports and what's not. That is needed at 3 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning meeting in. But I don't have to do that because my reports in Kampe, if unagala maintained and through umphat, not necessarily through me as a nurse, because my job here is to see patients. At the end of the day, our goal is the same. It's to see that patient, make sure they take treatment, they are suppressed, and then value so that I don't see them. They go to CCMDT, collect where they want to collect, then even the clinic becomes easier. I think that's where we just need to find common ground. And maybe also if Abo Sisizuzile can try, and I don't know how meetings go, but I feel the training that she gave to those concepts. I remember some of those people are my friends. They were trained, developed by Zuzile to say you are from Comserve, you're going to start working, this is it, private. I feel Nati as nurses got the OH so that because already we've got a lot that is already pushing us demoralizing us to feel like I'm just going there to get paid. We need those training where we are revived to say no, but this is what is going on. So sometimes you feel like vele training will be going to abantu base oramo base vet sina siyo trainer last, then we feel it's their thing, it's not our thing. I know, I always tell them, I work with Sister Notan, I always tell her, Gutiwan, evet, what is going on, what is what now? Then she'll tell me, no, we are looking at the viral suppression, like clinic, so. It gets me interested. I might not be knowing much what is going on here, but now if she's saying, hi, but I only see patients who are suppressed, you're saying we've got a lot of patients who are not suppressed, then it gets you to say, I want to see how come. I want to check. Some you find, it was just a legal mismanagement or just a patient who has never been taken to adherence counseling to say, has anyone spoken to this patient to say, you are not suppressed, what is going on, what is happening? Patient sent sister to collect, gave 3 months treatment, another one gave 3 months treatment, next thing it's blood time. This person was not suppressed, it's still not going to be suppressed because azangewa tola anyone to give and counseling, even if it's not me, it's a counselor or another nurse. But when you look at the file, that person was never cancelled. When you talk to a patient, Epilisium, no, I take it out. The day you speak to them, you're like, this thing could have been sorted way back if you had time to listen to this patient and heard, okay, treatment, I keep ngifake Vaseline and then ngibeke kuphi. And then you're like, oh, no, that's a problem, girl. Do 1, 2, 3. Patient comes back and like, oh, sister, I took blood. Now they're saying it's fine. But because we allow ukuthi push queue and never even give yourself chance, we always say clinics, have someone that today you gave them full time with you to say, I checked your bloods. I said to the patient, oh, you'll qualify for ukuba outside the clinic, but pharmacy on this time. Oh, okay, bloods in. Always at the end of the day, have a patient that you feel as a nurse, I did full service here. Yes, you'll have those because you want the queue to finish so that they don't go home. But always have someone that you saw and you did full service. You will sleep, and if you die, you'll wake up and be an angel or something like that. But yeah, that is all that I have to say.
Titi, you've said a mouthful. You've said a mouthful, and I think everyone is echoing what I said to say. I wish in every province there was a Sisuzile. Maybe we should challenge Sisuzile to say, in their senior management and stakeholder senior management meetings, may she try and rub herself off other people in similar positions as her. Because honestly speaking, I feel like if each province had someone like her, that person would see to fit that the implementation that she has done in the district that she's worked with the partners that she's worked with, those same people would do the same work in various districts, and it will ascend down to facilities, and then we will have multiple TTs because they were influenced by Osisuzil. And the other thing that I wanted to emphasize is that as the treatment interrupters come back to care, in our health education, we also call them out, right? Because they do have bad habits. Our clients have bad habits, and we call those bad habits out. And this is what they call shouting, calling the bad habits out to say, nope, you don't get to do that. But I've picked this up also when I was in the facility, that when I would call the bad habits out, my patients would never feel the need to self-defense. And the following visit, when they come, me and the patients would always be on the same page. They would never feel like, oh, but then you said this and that in the previous consultation, because they know that calling them out, it's me asking them to do the right thing. So the shouting at times of our interrupters, particularly the way Titi was saying it, that we don't get to say to them, I didn't give you HIV infection. That is not you calling a patient out. That is you demoralizing this individual, kicking a dog when it's down. That is plain blank that. But I really hope that we here, we're gonna be the change that is needed in our facilities and in our healthcare. We also need to know that our healthcare has three phases, right? It has us, the implementers, it has the management, it also has politics in it. There is a government that is failing, and with a failing government, we get affected as implementers, and we need to at least try and prevent some of the things that might affect the recipients of our care. Zuzile?
Okay. The other thing, Z, that I wanted to say is that in most cases, we just want to talk to our patients when they've done something wrong, when they've interrupted their treatment. And I always say when I'm training, just to praise them. You're well done. You came today on your appointment day, and then I remember when I started working with HIV, by that time we're initiating effervescence. They used to share with me the stories, and you have already spoken to them and then tell them about the side effects, especially the ones of the effervescence of your vivid dreams and all those things. And they will tell me what they've dreamt, they will tell me what they've experienced, and then I will just encourage them, well done, you did very well. And then by that time we used to do the pill count, and then I will count their pills, and then I will say to them, I see you are taking your treatment. And then I said, but if you are deceiving me, I will see it when we take the viral load. The viral load will be the one that will be telling me that you are telling me the truth. You don't take out some of the tablets. And most of the time they think you are telling them lies when you like viral load izokhuluma, and come the time of the viral load, you take the viral load, and I will be looking at them and say, and then what happened? Because then now the viral load is telling me another story, and then they were like, sister, you know, this happened on this day. I didn't take my tablet, and what, and I will say, okay, as long as lana, you see, if you are not taking your treatment, you're viral, and I'm telling you, you will see adherent. Come the time when the viral load is due for your management now, not your monitoring, your management, the viral load is suppressed. Let us learn to communicate with our patient. Let us praise them for the good things that they have done, and we'll have less number of those that are interrupting. Thank you, Z.
Oh, I appreciate. Do you see why we all want to in every facility and in every province of this country, Mar? This is what I've also picked up. So I've been doing the HIV education work since 2017 online. So I get a lot of direct messages, right? And some of the direct messages that I get is, what is viral load? What is CD4 count? I'm breastfeeding my child now. How the medication that I'm giving the baby, how long am I gonna give the baby? These are the types of messages I get from my DMs. And it echoes what Mrs. Zuzile says, that most of the times when we see a patient being a lower than detectable limit, we keep it to ourselves, or we will say, your results are fine. We don't even explain what a viral load is or what it means for the patient and what impact does a lower than detectable viral load has on the patient's life. Because I think that also, the fact that you are telling them that you are now lower than detectable limit, and what that means is the virus in your blood is suppressed, and when it is suppressed, you are unable to transmit it to your child that you are breastfeeding. You are unable to transmit it to your sexual partner. These are the reasons that will encourage and motivate the patient to continue taking their treatment. But if we are going to say, your results are fine, and the patient goes home, the patient doesn't know what is fine and like what impact will fine have on them. So we are really challenged by Usis Zuzile, guys, to go and do well by our patients, not every time when I was in the facilities, personally, I don't like midwifery. So even my manager did not want to place me in maternity. They would place me at chronic, because that's where I would see a lot of people living with HIV. But like Boy Mom says, there were those that I would issue out the treatment because I know this client is a regular here, and I know they understand they have a certain level of HIV information. But there is this other client that you can see they are 6 months into the program. They don't understand anything. They don't even understand the drugs that they are taking, guys. I got a DM on Facebook just a few weeks ago, and this patient says, Sister Z, I've been taking Aluvia for 10 years, and now they changed and gave me this. She gives me a name, and she's like, is it the same as Aluvia? Has it changed? And she says the nurse at the clinic could not explain to me. It's like she also didn't understand, or she didn't want to. And I had to, and trade names and generic names, they change. And I had to say to her, no, it's actually, it's the same classification, it's the same drug. Such things. This is someone that has been on Aluvia for 10 years. They understand Aluvia, they know Aluvia. Now they have anxiety now to say, am I going to react to this one? Am I going to have side effects? Is it going to work? Why are they changing me? When we are changing them from efavirenz regimen to TLD, the dolutegravir regimen, we need to tell them why we are doing that. We need to tell them what they should anticipate with this drug, because TLD has insomnia. It makes them not to sleep. So you can't just switch and give them this drug. Next thing they are on this DM to say, since I started taking this particular drug, I can't sleep, Sister Z, what must I do? But if you take the time, that 5 minutes to just say, I'm transitioning you from TEE to TLD for this particular reason. This is what TLD does, and this is what I think you should do for TLD. Our patients will not default. A patient whom you are putting on TLD and they are taking it at night and they experience insomnia, they will not default if you told them. But if you didn't tell them, if you didn't even allow them the platform to ask questions about this transition that you are doing, the patient will stop taking that drug, guys. They will stop. They will say, I don't sleep. I have to wake up the following morning and go to work. How am I supposed to function? They will stop taking the drug. So please, guys, let us give our patients love. Let us give them love. I'm gonna save this live on my YouTube channel because I feel I need young nurses to see it, particularly the part where Titi and Mam Zuzile are speaking about the attitude of the patients, how the patients at times the patient is not kind to you, and that should not have an influence at the type of healthcare service that you are going to render to this patient, you know. I think I'm going to... Evening, Bali, you are so late, my darling. We are now going to bed. When we know better, we do better. That's what Miss G says. Let's impart knowledge. We value, guys. That's the closing scripture for this life. When we know better, we do better. Let's impart knowledge as nurses. And above all, let's also impart knowledge on our colleagues. Ababasi reception, guys. Guys, let's, as seniors in facilities, because our positions are of high rank in facilities, let's go to the receptionist and say, you need to change how you do things. You need to change how you do things. And I know for us as clinicians, at times we let them be because we feel like basphungulela umsebenzi. But they are doing damage to the community. I always say, if you send back a client that doesn't have a viral load which is suppressed, we are risking a new infection. There might be a new infection. If there's a patient that's going to walk out of our facilities with a viral load that is detectable or that is above 200, that particular patient stands a high risk of infecting someone else. It means we are still perpetuating the virus in the country, and we are now working towards eradicating the virus, and it needs us as implementers. Even though the government is failing, let us try and do our level best. Zuzile says she left Department of Health when she felt like she can't take it anymore. If you feel like you can't take it anymore, if you feel like you think you would perform better somewhere else, because honestly speaking, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is you doing well and performing better wherever you are. I mean, she's in private now and she's doing exceptionally well and still very much effective, and the community still benefits from her. So if you feel like, no, I can't take it anymore, then you should find an environment that will allow you to do well, that will allow you to render the quality healthcare service that you vowed to experience. I'm gonna let Usis Zuzile share her last experience, and then from there we can go to bed. But my heart is so happy. Sis Zuzile, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Zee. So I just want to share one of the experience. When we started the UTT, I was still working as a clinical nurse advisor, and I was supporting one of the sub-district, but I'm not gonna say which sub-district. So one of the activities that we had to do, we had to go and pre-retrieve all the pre-ART, and then we have to initiate them. So I was given a room to work. So in that room, there was also another room next to where I was going to be seeing the patients. And then in this other room, they were taking the bloods. And like we're saying that we are the first discriminators, because already the people that are going there, they know that when they go there, what type of bloods are they going to be taken there. So, and then, I never felt, I was so angry on that day. And also, I felt myself feeling whatever this guy was feeling. So, and what was happening is that it was his 12 months viral load monitoring. So what they do in that facility, they will go and take the files and then go and take the bloods. And then after that, they will go for a queue again for their medication. So, and then, so when he arrived there, he requested the other patients, and then he said, he was crying, Zee. He said, can you please allow me to go in? Because I've been waiting for a long time that side, waiting for my file, and then now I have to come this side. My boss has just called, and he said, if I don't arrive at work by this time, I must know that umsebenzi uphelile. So, and then the patients there, they allowed him, Yaibon, and then they said to him, maybe you can ask even the nurse there to give you the medication. I'm in the other room, the room where I was working. I was attending to the ones that I needed to initiate. So, and I had a long queue for the initiation. So, but I can hear the conversation. So, and then he went there, and then without talking so long, he was like, Mama Nyatela, can you please give me a treatment just for this month because I have to rush to work. Umlungu utela me if I don't arrive at this time at work, I must know ukuthi umsebenzi uphelile. And he was still crying. And then this nurse said, Nigezi medication mina. Uzophuma la uhamba ubuyele back la ofanele uyothatha medication. Mina ngisebenzi ngabantu abane-HIV, just nje ngithatha amagazi kuphela. You know, I was so angry. I went out of the room. I said to the patient that I was attending, Askis, I need to go and attend to that. And then I went there, umuntu omdala, and I didn't want to be rude. And I said, Baba, mawuqeda, ngicela uze kulela kamero leli ngale. And then after he was done, he came to my room. And then because there was a patient that was supposed to come in, I said to that patient, can you please not come in before this guy come in because I don't want to interrupt between the two of you. So the patient came in, and then I asked him, then, what is happening? Why are you now crying? And then he said, Mama, I've lost my brother with HIV. And brother Wami died because he didn't want to take treatment. And now I'm taking care of abantwana baka brother Wami. I have a wife who is HIV positive. Ninabantwana that I need to take care of. And I also have to take care of my brother's children. And I don't want to be like my brother who died because he didn't want to take a treatment. And now I had to risk coming here because I really want to take the treatment. So hence, I'm requesting at least I don't want the treatment 3 months or 4 months, just the treatment this month. Good at least in Russia M17. And then I asked him go to when are you needed M17. I asked him then manje mausugala. How are you going to arrive at work? Though he told me at least everything was arranged. I gave him a treatment for 2 months. I was not allowed to do that. But then now I could see for him to come back. And when I was looking at the previous viral loads, he was virally suppressed. I gave him 2 months of the treatment. But then I asked myself, how many patients are experiencing the same thing? And then at the end of the day, then we want to call them defaulters. Who made them to default? Just think of this man. If ngabe he was not attended to, ayotosha M17, he is responsible. He's already there. You don't need to do anything. You are doing the blood. Why don't you give this man treatment and let him go to work? Are you going to be providing this man for umsebenzi or providing for his family? Why are you not kind to this man?
You know, you are making me emotional because I have a brother who's uneducated, and my brother dropped out at grade 10. So it means he doesn't get to work at a job that allows him to go and consult. And see a doctor that's gonna say, I'm booking you off sick. He works for the companies that are similar to the company that this man works for. The company that if you are not at work, they know it's gonna be a unpaid leave for that day. So I'm trying to bring it to him to say, if it was him, how would I have felt? Knowing how his bosses are, knowing how his work environment is, it is inhuman. Some of the things that we do to our patients are inhuman. We don't even think about where they come from. I mean, how you are narrating what he told you when he was finally in your consulting room. We now get to see that it is not just about the diagnosis. It is beyond that. There is so much that HIV is attached to in this man's life, from losing his brother, taking care of his brother's children, with the very same job that is not paying well. Because any paying well job will never have a boss that says to you, if you are not here in 5 minutes, you are gone. Any paying well job will never have a boss that says that. And this man is not even being paid well where he's being paid. He has a wife who's on treatment who also needs care. But Mnandi Nesinditi, I can see treatment here HIV come. Yo guys, we need to really do self-introspection with, like, have individual conversations with ourselves every morning when we are waking up. I'm a firm believer of resigning from a job that no longer makes you want to do it. I'm a firm believer. There is nothing that bores me like someone who wakes up every day because they are paying bills. Nothing bores me like someone that wakes up to go to work because they are paying bills. In my last years of Department of Health, I was doing that. That's when I wrote a resignation letter, and I even did it with immediate effect because I felt I was ineffective to the people of that community. I was no longer doing them good. Guys, as nurses and healthcare workers, we are working with human beings. Unfortunately, we are not working with electricity. And I even said this with the testers that I work with today. I said, you know, guys, health, understand, are you lost? Like, aren't you supposed to go back to university and do a degree in accounting, perhaps? Do a degree in engineering, perhaps? Are you lost for you to be working with human beings and saying, we work in communities, and then we get in squatter camps where there is sewage and stuff, and some of our testers will say, I'm not gonna work here, and I would be like, I'm a registered nurse, and I get in those shacks, I sit in their couches, but I sit and I listen to their stories, and I want to put myself into their shoes. Now, if I'm going to say, I'm not going to be coming into this community. Every time the community team goes to this community, I'm not going to go there because this squatter camp is unsafe for me. Why am I not going to study accounting and work at Capitec or FNB? We honestly need to start typing resignation letters if we feel like we are unable to execute the tasks that are on our description jobs. I don't think employers would hesitate to replace us. But for our patients to suffer because we are unhappy, guys, no. No. I mean, the patient, the nurse that Sister Zuzile is describing here strikes me as someone who no longer wants to be there. Even if you are not working with maternity, but if a pregnant woman says, ANC, the nurse that side said, can you please give me their ART and my ART? And then when you say, I'm pregnant, I'm HIV, just to stand up and take it, guys, just to stand up and take TEE and give to the patient, we utter such words. For Usuzuzile to hear the patient's status on the other room, it means even these ones who were on the waiting area, they were able to hear Naki Dereki treatment here HIV. Oh guys, I shame. Nandas no bizulu silbone, honestly. Guys, but it's tough, and I find it tough with HIV because, guys, there is so much involved in a person's life. Like I am living with HIV. It is not just a diagnosis. It affects me in so many ways. HIV affects people. It affects us as humans in so many ways. It affects our lives in so many ways. The moment I get a diagnosis about HIV, chances are my life will be altered if I don't get a good clinician to make me understand. But in actual fact, your life is not going to change because of this diagnosis. It changes a person. Miss G was saying, don't get started with talking about working in community. I think she can attest the things that we see. And when I'm Miss G, I don't know if maybe I'm a little bit lenient to patients living with HIV because of the community aspect. Because the community aspect, you are no longer in the facility. You get in their households. You see what they eat, what they drink, what they sleep on. You get into their world. In the community aspect, you go to their household, you get into their bedrooms. In the community aspect, maybe that's what makes us to have Ubuntu. I don't know, but I still feel, but even in facilities, our patients, they try to narrate their stories to us, but we are just not listening. We are just not listening. Yo, guys, we are not listening. I don't know, I think it was Kwanele. Someone said here on the comment section that the problem is that we don't call each other out as healthcare workers. We let each other, like, guys, and I always say because the people we are serving in these healthcare facilities are Black people. Because no one is going to hold us accountable. But these are our relatives. These are our family members. And if you were to receive a call from your sister saying, Zanele tested, I went to a testing station and they gave me my results within 5 minutes. If you, as a clinician, were going to receive a call from your sister, in the Eastern Cape, saying, I went to a facility and they said I'm HIV positive, but my results were read in 5 minutes. You are gonna make sure that you take the entire whole department down because you have the information. But the very same you do the same thing in your workplace. You do the same thing in your workplace to other Black people. Someone once said to me, when I was new, a doctor once said to me, when a patient walks in, see someone related to you. See someone related to you. And render a healthcare service of someone that is related to you. What would you do to your relative? Would you treat them the same way? Would you say the same things? In actual fact, our relatives don't even queue in our facilities, isn't it? Our friends and families, if that male was a friend or a family member of someone who was working in that facility, that male wouldn't have suffered on that day. He wouldn't have experienced or cried the way he had to cry on that day. Do we see how we're eating on the dignity of Black men? Studies shows that men are less likely to seek healthcare assistance when they are sick than females. Because African males are attached to respect and all that. And now if we're going to eat on their dignity that way, HIV, this man is already down, crying on their knees, like they've let go of their dignity. They are crying, they are on their knees. Nope, I have no empathy or whatever in me to offer you. Guys, let's do better. It's 10 o'clock. Let's go to bed. Sis Zuzile, I appreciate you so much. And I know I'm not the only one. And I think I just want to say to you, may you never stop teaching us. May you never stop imparting who you are in us. May you never stop leaving your prints, your footprints on us, so that we can quote you in different places, so that we can remember your words above everything, so that we can remember your words when times are tough, because there are times when you are really trying to do your level best, but you feel like the system and the structural barriers are just too much. May we remember your words. And I think above everything, I took something that you said here. You said you didn't have the energy of mistreating patients. That's what you said. You said you didn't have the energy of mistreating patients. And you think if you had that energy, you wouldn't be where you are. Because I personally know you, and there are a lot of people that personally knows you here and knows where you are. For me, it feels like you are giving us a glass of water to drink when we are in a desert. You are giving us a glass of water to drink when the structural barriers that are implemented by our government, our healthcare system, when we feel like they are overpowering us and making us unable to become the best versions of nurses in our country. Your words, may they carry us. May we use them and remember them. That by virtue of not having an energy to take on your frustrations on patients, it will take you far. And if you are not happy in a workplace, you must leave. Leaving a company or a workplace doesn't mean you are going to be ineffective in becoming a community builder, in becoming a community change maker. A lot of the people, they always say, oh, you left government, you're working in private, you left poor people. The other day I took a video where I was in Ekurhuleni in the Squatter camps, and I said, people think that when we're saying we are in corporate and working for private company, we are being paid better. People think we've left the poor people. We haven't left the poor people, but we just looked for a better, conducive environment for us to be able to be effective to the very same poor people. Thank you, everyone who joined. Thank you for your inputs. Titi, you know I love you so much. To the nurses that are working in Ekurhuleni, guys, please tell me where you are working so that I can visit you in your facilities, please. But thank you to everyone that engaged on this live. Miss G, thank you for being here tonight. And all the board members and the regulars of this account, the moderators of this account, even if you don't always request to speak, but you're on the comment section. We thank you. Have a good night, Betunana, and a lovely week. On Friday, we are going to be speaking to Dr. Muisi, Sister J, the board member. Thank you for being here. On Friday, we are going to be speaking to Dr. Maureen Muisi, the youngest nursing PhD holder in the country. She is at the University of Pretoria. She is going to be sharing with us. Oh, she's actually here. Hi, Maureen. She's actually going to be sharing with us her journey to becoming the youngest PhD holder. She was even acknowledged by Dr. Blade Nzimande. We need people like Maureen to tell us how they did it, because self-motivation also needs to come from working into your becoming, right? We're not supposed to be in one place. I think that's the other thing that frustrates us as nurses, being in one place for too long and not growing. So on Friday, let us be here at 8 p.m. to hear Maureen on how she has been able to develop herself in the profession. Highly CV and good night. Love you guys so much. Bye, Kwanele. This is the talk I have been waiting for. NQF level 10 gang. Bye-bye in Vietnam.